when Shakespeare starts writing comedy, the comedy stretches across all class ranges, and it's incredibly rich. And just as in, the tragedies there is comedy, in the comedies, there's always tragedy mixed into the comedies. So that kind of, as they say, that makes the laughs bigger because they're juxtaposed with areas of sadness or misfortune. And very often the comedies begin from a tragic beginning, like Twelfth Night, The Shipwreck, this play, As You Like It, where the characters are banished. Like the springboard is dramatic, but the results are comedic. What you can best do is mine the situation and kind of mine the truth of the situation. In As You Like It, there's a great moment in the first scene where Rosalind and Orlando first meet, where he's tongue-tied and he can't say anything. Well, he doesn't. The script gives you nothing except the result. Like when she stops talking, he says, "What passion hangs these weights upon my tongue?" So you know that as you're putting that scene together, you have to amplify as much as possible that situation.
Comedy's a bit of a team sport, especially in the theatre, and Orlando as the straight man has been a real pleasure to play because he is a little naive, he is a little inexperienced, and a lot of what happens in this play is overwhelming to him. Having Christie playing Rosalind, whose performance is so full of life and hilarious and just vivacious and kind of mesmerising, it's made my job very easy because a lot of the time I'm just watching her do these extraordinary things and being genuinely drawn up into it and entertained. So playing straight to her comedic brilliance is a real pleasure. You've got to know what your gig is and serve that and serve the play.
Ganymede is so free as opposed to Rosalind. So physically, he can lay on the ground, he can run up the hill, he can do anything, and it's really freeing and really empowering to be a man after being a woman stuck in a corset. And I think, why would you want to go back? I've tried to find male, comedic male traits. And initially when Shakespeare did these plays, it was a man playing a woman pretending to be a man. It was sort of like, that was the comedy, I suppose. But in this case, I do try and hike up my pants and spitting, or I'm still trying to find it. But there are things that someone will laugh at and I don't know why, So it's like anything. You can either find a way to make something funny or it is just funny or, but again, talking through it and working it out, trying things in different ways. There'll be things in previews that we'll try that we either think is going to be funny and it's not, or we didn't realise we're funny and it is. So you can think you know it all, but again, the audience are probably the best people to determine what's funny and what isn't.
The scene where Phoebe falls in love with Ganymede, it's just the most over-the-top, love spelly scene ever. It's literally like, I don't know, she has a fairy godmother behind her that's just gone, and now you're in love with this person. And that's kind of all I'm doing. I'm just trying to take every opportunity to give her a big kiss on the mouth and give her a hug and smell her hair and chase her around the stage and never let her leave my side, ever.
My character, Touchstone, is the fool of the play. He's the clown in the court who, hopefully at his best, speaks truth to power, maybe says things that other characters can't say, and at his worst, probably just makes fart jokes. And my character is comedic. Essentially his whole purpose in some ways is there for a bit of levity. So you try to go, well, what is a funny character? And the interesting thing about this, of course, is that the way it's written and what was funny 300, 400 years ago, doesn't necessarily translate in the lines to what's funny today. You end up, or at least I've ended up going, well, how do I make this guy funny? And Some of that can be about just doing weird moves or making crass jokes and innuendo. Some of it can be about making really extreme vocal choices, really high and then really low.
Colour in actors' voices is very important as far as bringing that stuff to life a lot. Like you just noticed that the character of Touchstone in this, that Dan Frederiksen playing, like he's got an incredible vocal flexibility. So where he's got a balance, when he's got those big speeches with Corrin in the start of the second half where he's talking about life in the court versus life in the country, and he is helping us enormously with the colour of his vocal tone and how those things come alive.
As long as you go for truth, whatever themes and ideas are written into the script should just show up themselves, as long as you're performing truthfully.
I think that's right. And I think the key is not to embellish. Find out that the language will tell you what's funny, and you get to that through that, rather than imposing a style on it. The danger is to try to make it funny, because a lot of the time, don't you think, it's like that thing that if you just play the story, then it'll be funny. If you impose comedy on it, then it can cease to be funny because the audience see that you're trying to be funny. I think ultimately, it's in there, in the text. You just find it and then run with it.